The Last Stand. The Odysseus hung in the void like a ghost, her hull scarred with burn marks and battle damage. Captain Maya Chen stood on the bridge, staring out at the endless expanse of stars. Once, those stars had represented hope and exploration. Now they were just hiding places for what remained of humanity. "Status report," Maya said, her voice steady despite the exhaustion that threatened to overtake her. Lieutenant Kowalski looked up from his console, dark circles under his eyes. Power reserves at 32%. Life support functioning at minimal capacity. Weapons systems operational, but ammunition severely limited. Maya nodded. The Odysseus, humanity's last warship, was barely holding together. It had been 3 years since the hegemony arrived in human space, their massive ships darkening the skies over Earth before opening fire. The war, if you could call it that, lasted less than a week. Earth fell. The colonies followed, one by one. "Any word from the resistance cells?" Maya asked, though she already knew the answer. Communications officer Reina Torres shook her head. "Nothing for 2 weeks, Captain. Last transmission was from Europa base, but it cut off mid-message." Maya closed her eyes briefly. 200 souls remained on the Odysseus, 200 out of billions, the last organized military force humanity had left. "Captain," came a voice from the science station. Dr. Elias Ventura, the ship's chief scientist and the architect of their only hope. "I've completed the analysis of the data we retrieved from the Proxima raid." The bridge crew looked up, a flicker of hope visible on their haggard faces. 3 days ago, they had risked everything to raid a small hegemony outpost in the Proxima Centauri system. The mission cost them 12 good people, but they'd escaped with terabytes of hegemony data. "Tell me you found something," Maya said, crossing to his station. Elias nodded, bringing up a holographic display. "The hegemony is not a traditional empire. They're a collective consciousness, a hive mind. Every soldier, every ship, every weapon is connected to a central neural network." The display showed a complex web of connections, all leading to a massive structure hovering in space. "This is their primary neural hub," Elias continued, "located in the Rigel system. It coordinates all hegemony forces within our galactic arm." "A single point of failure," Maya murmured, seeing the implications immediately. "Precisely," Elias confirmed. "Destroy or disrupt this hub, and the hegemony forces in our sector would be thrown into chaos. They'd lose coordination, tactical advantage, everything." Lieutenant Commander Jackson, tactical officer, leaned forward. "You're talking about a direct assault on a hegemony stronghold, their most important installation. It would be suicide." "We're already dead," Maya replied quietly. "The human race is on the brink of extinction. This isn't about survival anymore. It's about making them pay." She turned to face her crew, and maybe, just maybe, giving whoever's left a fighting chance. The silence on the bridge was heavy with the weight of her words. These people had followed her through hell already. They'd lost friends, family, their entire world. And now she was asking them to sacrifice themselves for a mission that might not even work. Chief Engineer Rodriguez broke the silence. "The Odysseus can't outgun a hegemony dreadnought, let alone an entire fleet protecting their neural hub." "We don't need to outgun them," Elias said, stepping forward. "I've been working on something. A virus designed to infiltrate and corrupt their neural network. If we can get close enough to upload it directly to the hub, they'd tear themselves apart from the inside." Maya finished. "How close do we need to get?" "Within the hub's security perimeter. About 500 kilometers." Jackson shook his head. "Their detection grid extends 10 times that distance. We'd be spotted and vaporized before we got halfway there." Maya looked back at the stars. Somewhere out there, hiding among the countless points of light, the remnants of humanity were fighting to survive, unaware that their fate hung in the balance on this broken warship. "What if they don't see us coming?" she asked. Rodriguez frowned. "Our stealth systems are good, but not that good." "No," Maya agreed, "but we have something better." She turned to Elias. The experimental phase shift drive. Is it operational? The scientists' eyes widened. Theoretically, we've never tested it in combat conditions. The power requirements alone would drain our reserves, Maya finished. But it could get us close enough. The phase shift drive was humanity's last technological breakthrough before the invasion. A system designed to temporarily shift the ship partially out of normal spacetime, rendering it virtually undetectable. The problem was the enormous power drain and the inability to use weapons while phased. We'd have one shot, Rodriguez warned. Once we dephase, we'd have maybe 2 minutes before our power cells are completely drained. 2 minutes to change the course of the war, Maya said. She straightened her shoulders. Plot a course for the Rigel system. All departments, prepare for combat operations. We'd jump in 12 hours. As the bridge crew dispersed to their duties, Lieutenant Kowalski approached her. Captain, permission to speak freely. Always, Lieutenant. We all joined Starfleet to explore, to make a difference. None of us expected to be humanity's last hope. He paused. I just wanted you to know, whatever happens at Rigel, it's been an honor. Maya nodded, emotion threatening to break through her carefully maintained composure. The honor has been mine, Lieutenant. The next 12 hours were a flurry of activity. Rodriguez and his engineering team pushed the Odysseus's damaged systems to their limits, rerouting power and patching critical components. Dr. Elias finalized his virus, ensuring it would spread through the hegemony network as quickly and destructively as possible. In the armory, Jackson prepared boarding parties, just in case they needed to physically breach the hub. Maya moved throughout the ship, checking preparations and speaking with the crew. These weren't just soldiers following orders. They were the last defenders of humanity, preparing for what would likely be their final mission. In her quarters, Maya recorded what might be her final log entry. Captain's log, stardate 219247. The Odysseus is about to embark on what may be humanity's last military action. Our mission, to strike at the heart of the hegemony's control system and disrupt their neural network. The odds of success are minimal. The odds of survival even less so. But in the face of extinction, humanity has always found its greatest strength. If we succeed, perhaps the scattered survivors of our species will have a chance to rebuild. If we fail, history won't remember us, because there will be no one left to write it. This is Captain Maya Chen of the UES Odysseus. For Earth, for humanity, we stand against the darkness. As the Odysseus approached the jump point, Maya returned to the bridge. The ship hummed with tension. Phase shift drive charged and ready, Rodriguez reported from engineering. Virus payload prepared for upload, Elias confirmed. Weapon systems online, Jackson added. Maya took her command chair, feeling the weight of humanity's future on her shoulders. Set jump coordinates for the outer boundary of the Rigel system. Engage phase shift on my mark. The view screen showed the empty vastness of space, deceptively peaceful. Somewhere beyond that darkness waited an enemy that had nearly wiped out their species. For those we've lost, Maya said quietly. Engage. The Odysseus leaked into the unknown, carrying with it the last desperate hope of humanity. Turning the tide. The Rigel system materialized around them, a dance of planets orbiting a brilliant blue-white star, and at the system's edge, exactly where their intelligence had indicated, loomed the hegemony neural hub, a massive structure shaped like a crystalline spider web, pulsing with energy that connected every hegemony vessel and soldier in the sector. Phase shift holding, Rodriguez reported, his voice tight with tension. Power reserves depleting rapidly. Around the hub, dozens of hegemony vessels moved in precise, synchronized patterns. Dreadnoughts with weapons that could shatter planets, cruisers bristling with fighter bays, destroyers designed for speed and precision strikes. Any one of them could obliterate the Odysseus in seconds. They haven't detected us, Taurus confirmed, monitoring the hegemony communications channels. We're invisible to their sensors. Maya leaned forward in her chair. Distance to target. 2,000 kilometers in closing, Jackson replied. Estimated time to optimal virus deployment range. 4 minutes. The phase shift drive can only maintain integrity for another 5 minutes, Captain Rodriguez warned. After that, we're visible and vulnerable. Maya nodded. Maintain course and speed. All hands, prepare for combat upon dephasing. The Odysseus glided through the heart of the hegemony fleet like a ghost, undetected and unseen. On the bridge, the crew watched in tense silence as they passed close enough to see individual weapon ports on the enemy vessels. 1,000 kilometers to target, Jackson announced. Dr. Elias moved to Maya's side. Captain, there's something else you should know about the virus. His voice was low, meant only for her. I've designed it to be evolving. Self-learning. Maya's eyes narrowed. You created an AI virus. That's prohibited under the Jupiter Conventions. The conventions didn't anticipate humanity's extinction, Elias replied grimly. This virus won't just disrupt their network. It will learn from it, adapt to it, and potentially turn their own technology against them. Before Maya could respond, an alarm sounded from the engineering station. Power fluctuation in the phase shift drive, Rodriguez called out. We're starting to register on their sensors. On the view screen, the nearest hegemony ship began to alter course, turning toward them. They've detected us, Torres confirmed. Multiple vessels converging on our position. Distance to target, Maya demanded. 700 kilometers, Jackson replied. We need to get closer. Maya made her decision instantly. Divert all non-essential power to engines and the phase shift drive. Get us to the deployment zone. The Odysseus surged forward, its overtaxed engines screaming in protest. The phase shift field around the ship flickered, becoming less stable with each passing second. 600 kilometers, 550, 500 kilometers to target. Jackson counted down. We're within range, Elias confirmed. Phase shift drive hailing, Rodriguez shouted. We're becoming fully visible. Maya didn't hesitate. Dephase now. Deploy the virus. The Odysseus snapped back into normal spacetime with a violent shudder that nearly threw the crew from their stations. Immediately, the ship's communications array locked onto the neural hub, transmitting Elias's virus directly into the hegemony's central nervous system. Virus deployment initiated, Elias confirmed, watching his console with intense focus. Upload at 20%, 40%, 60%. Outside, the hegemony fleet reacted with mechanical precision. Ships that had been patrolling suddenly changed course, converging on the Odysseus like predators scenting blood. Multiple weapons locks detected, Jackson reported. Incoming fire from all directions. Evasive maneuvers. Maya ordered. All power to shields. The Odysseus twisted and turned as energy beams slashed through space around them. The ship shook as multiple impacts hammered against its failing shields. Shield integrity at 60% and falling, Rodriguez reported. Upload at 90%, 95%, 100%. Elias shouted triumphantly. Virus successfully deployed. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then, one by one, the hegemony ships began to falter. Some drifted off course. Others fired their weapons at random trajectories. Several turned and began firing on their fellow vessels. It's working, Torres said in awe. The virus is corrupting their command network. On the view screen, the neural hub itself began to pulse erratically, portions of its crystalline structure darkening as the virus spread through its systems. Maya allowed herself a small, grim smile. Get us out of here, maximum speed. Set course for the Kuiper Belt rendezvous point. As the Odysseus turned to flee, the chaos among the hegemony fleet intensified. Ships collided with one another. Weapon systems fired uncontrollably. And at the center of it all, the neural hub began to crack, energy discharges erupting from its failing structure. Captain, Torres called out, I'm detecting coded transmissions from the hub. The virus is propagating through the entire hegemony network. It's spreading to every connected ship and installation in the sector. And beyond. Elias added, his eyes fixed on his monitor. The virus is adapting, using their own communication relays to reach neighboring sectors. The Odysseus raced away from the disintegrating hub, but not fast enough. A massive energy wave erupted as the structure finally collapsed, catching the fleeing ship in its periphery. "Brace for impact," Maya shouted. The shock wave hit them like a physical blow, sending the Odysseus tumbling end over end. Emergency lighting flickered on as primary systems failed. "Hull breaches on decks 3 through 7, Rodriguez reported. "Sealing emergency bulkheads. Main power offline, switching to auxiliary." "Casualties reported throughout the ship," Torres added grimly. "Can we still maneuver?" Maya asked, wiping blood from a cut on her forehead. "Barely," Rodriguez replied. "Engine efficiency at 40%. We're not outrunning anything in this condition." On the tactical display, several hegemony ships had broken free of the chaos and were in pursuit, though their movements were erratic, suggesting they were operating on backup systems independent of the now corrupted neural network. "They're still coming," Jackson warned. Maya studied the star chart. "There's an asteroid field at the edge of the system. Set course for it. We'll use the density to lose them." The damaged Odysseus limped toward the asteroid field, pursued by the remnants of the once invincible hegemony fleet. Inside the chaotic tangle of spinning rocks and frozen ice, Rodriguez's piloting skills were tested to their limits. "2 hegemony destroyers still in pursuit," Jackson reported. "They're firing." The Odysseus ducked behind a massive asteroid just as energy beams sliced through space where they had been moments before. "We can't outrun them. And we can't outgun them," Maya said, thinking aloud. "But maybe we can outsmart them." She turned to Rodriguez. "The mining charges in Cargo Bay 3. Are they still operational?" Rodriguez nodded slowly, understanding her plan. "Yes, Captain. We have 6 left. Arm them all. Set them for proximity detonation." She pointed to a cluster of densely packed asteroids ahead. "We'll drop them there and double back." The Odysseus weaved through the asteroid field, deploying the mining charges in a seemingly random pattern. Then, at Maya's command, the ship cut engines briefly, letting momentum carry them behind a particularly large asteroid. "Hegemony vessels approaching the minefield," Jackson reported. "Hold position," Maya ordered. "All systems silent." The entire bridge crew held their breath as the enemy ships entered the trap. The first explosion caught the lead destroyer off guard, shattering its forward section. The second and third detonations created a chain reaction in the asteroid field, sending massive rocks hurtling in all directions. The remaining hegemony vessels tried to evade but were caught in the maelstrom of spinning debris. "Direct hits," Jackson confirmed. "Both destroyers heavily damaged." Maya didn't wait to press their advantage. "Get us out of here. Best possible speed." The Odysseus slipped away while the hegemony ships struggled to extricate themselves from the asteroid field. By the time they broke free, the human vessel was long gone, hidden among the vastness of space. 3 weeks later, the Odysseus limped into the coordinates of the Kuiper Belt rendezvous point. They had no idea if anyone would be waiting for them, or if they would find only empty space, the last survivors of a species that had finally run out of time. Instead, they found hope. A ragtag collection of vessels, mining ships, colony transports, even a few retrofitted cargo haulers, waited in formation. As the Odysseus approached, communications channels burst into life with human voices. "Captain," Torres said, tears in her eyes, "they're reporting hegemony forces throughout human space have fallen into disarray. Entire battle groups are drifting without purpose. Others are fighting among themselves. The virus worked even better than I anticipated," Elias explained. "It didn't just disrupt their network, it's rewriting it. The hegemony's greatest strength, their unified consciousness, has become their greatest vulnerability. On the primary view screen, a message appeared from the lead civilian vessel. We picked up scattered transmissions about what you did at Rigel. Word is spreading. Resistance cells are emerging on occupied worlds. The hegemony is in chaos. You've given us more than a fighting chance, Odysseus. You've given us hope. Maya looked around the bridge at her battered crew, tired, wounded, but alive. Against impossible odds, they had struck a blow that might just save their species. Send a message to the fleet, she ordered. Tell them the war isn't over. It's just beginning. And this time, humanity isn't running. As the Odysseus took its place at the head of the makeshift human fleet, Maya allowed herself to truly believe it for the first time. One ship, one desperate gamble, had changed the course of the war. The hegemony's grip on the galaxy was slipping, and humanity, resilient, determined, ingenious humanity, was rising from the ashes. The stars that had once represented humanity's doom now promised a future they would fight for, a future they would win.